So this was COVID. I wanted to apply for a job that would start when I'm done with school.
Okay.
Because you can literally shift your start date. So I was applying to Nigerian companies. Rejection, 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 rejection. What do you know? How many years of experience?
Meet Chisom Nwokwu, a 22-year-old author and software engineer at Microsoft based in Lagos, Nigeria, who doesn't just believe that other young people can find their path in tech, but she is determined to help them do so by sharing opportunities, hosting free masterclasses, and coaching other young people. In this episode of ATR Careers, Chisom, just like in her book, A Techie's Guide into Big Tech Companies, talks about how she was able to get a job with Microsoft even before graduation from the University of Nigeria, prepared for the interview, dealt with the many prior rejections, and the not-so-popular tech roles that you can apply for. So, where and how did it all start?
Apptech was just literally me doing my IT. Now I was my second year in school. I needed someone to do my IT. At that time, places I was applying to, I didn't have experience. So my dad was like, just go and learn something in Apptech. Because most people were looking for where they would go get paid.
Yes.
I was literally looking for where I would learn. So I went to Apptech. I did a full Java certified program. So they taught me everything about Java and everything. So I think it had a connection with what fueled my passion for mobile applications. Because to be a mobile application developer, you need to know either Java at that time, but now we're using Kotlin. So when I saw that guy building that app, I asked him, what do I need? He was like, Java. I was like, this is God.
Yeah, finally.
So that was the connection. Okay. So yeah. So I had Apptech on my resume. I had HNG, the little I did. I mentioned RoarHub, where I was picked to be in a team. So I had those 3 experiences on my resume. Nothing too substantial, nothing too significant. They barely lasted 6 months or even 4 months, but they were so little. But I just tried to expand it. So I had a little work experience. Volunteer experience came from my student program. So this was just me building my resume, putting little blocks. So I was also elected as director of software. I did that too, and the things I did in that role.
While you were in that office?
Yes. So school was settled, the CGPA, everything added. Other things included GitHub, contact information, email addresses, skills, mobile development was there already. Then I delved into taking certification exams. There was HCNA, Hawaii Certified Network Analyst. There was Oracle. So these were something that was available to us as students. So I was like, okay, I don't know where this knowledge might lead me to, but let me just take this exam. So I took them, I passed them, I added that to my resume. So my resume was just building, bits and pieces everywhere, and it was finally ready to apply. So this was COVID. I wanted to apply for a job that would start when I'm done with school.
Okay.
Because you can literally shift your start date. So I was applying to Nigerian companies. Rejection, 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 rejection. What do you know? How many years of experience? 0.
That was the major question we were asking.
Yeah, how many years of experience? I was like, I'm still in school and all that. So it was quite depressing because I was like, who will now employ me? I don't want to stay at home after school. So I now got into the whole big tech wave. I went on LinkedIn, I saw new grad. I was just seeing this new grad internship. I checked. The only thing I was seeing was have a passion for. I wasn't seeing number of years of experience. I was like, have a passion for this. I was like, this is me. So I saw a couple of job postings. And I was like, this is COVID. I've built my app. My resume looks okay. Let me just start. So I started applying. to jobs, different kind of jobs. I think I applied to Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Netflix. I just kept on putting my resume everywhere.
All of them,
the big leagues.
As your dad and your mom said, you actually have.
I wasn't even looking at,
You actually have big eyes.
I wasn't looking. I was like, these people have the capacity to train people that don't have experience. They have the capacity, and they're just releasing roles, graduate roles, internship roles, and I was like, this is where I'll start from. So I started applying. My first rejection was from Google. I think the interview and all those stuff that they set for me was a little bit hard. It had to do with data structures and algorithms. I didn't know that at that point. They actually taught me in school, but I didn't learn it like something I would need. So it was at that point that I knew that, okay, for the things I need to apply for jobs like this, data structures and algorithms, a good resume, and what to talk about during your interviews, your accomplishments, your achievements, and everything. So applied, rejections. How everything flipped was when I saw a flyer from Women Who Code. They were like, they will be entertaining engineers from Google and Facebook. And this was Lagos. And they were like, these engineers graduated from University of Lagos. So the whole thing was, so this is actually possible. People can actually work for these companies. And I went for that webinar. I've attended a lot of events, but that one, till today, I even wrote it in my book. It had a lot of impact. So I would always tell people, if you're attending webinars, don't just do it haphazardly. Look for the one that will add value. And that one, literally, till today, is still added value. So I met so many people, three of them. They attended Unilag. They were speaking from their London and UK locations. UK locations. So they were just gisting us how they did it, and I was just looking in front of my laptop. I was like, simple stories. They just started like studying for data structures and algorithms. They were, is this thing you do where you prepare for interviews, they give you a question to solve using a programming language. Yeah, so before you get into a big tech company, you have to do data structures and algorithms, and that's what they highlighted on. So I was like, okay, this thing is hard though. I was looking at them, but they were like, it's hard. I was like, okay, they said it's hard, so it's not just me. It's not just me. So she was like, they had a group where they would like solve questions together, apply to different companies, get rejected, and still encourage themselves. So I saw this synergy. I was like, so it wasn't easy, but they still did it, right? They're not talking like they lost. They're out of the country already. So they were speaking from experience, and I was like, I'm just going to focus on doing this thing. So I had a group of friends that I haven't even met in person. They were Microsoft student partners as well. So they had
across
the same
Nigeria.
Yes, so they had the same aspirations as me. One was in, her name is Rita. She was in OAU. The other person was in Unilag, Olumide. So we were like, okay, this is what we want to do. Let's just do this together. So we created a group chat, and we started preparing for this stuff together. So each job we see, we'll post it on the group chat. Three of us will apply for that job and now post feedback. Like, did you get accepted? But even as we were applying for jobs, we were still preparing together as friends, sharing subscriptions and all those stuff.
What exactly does the interview process
look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
Okay, so I think it starts with them sending you a coding test. Most companies, it's really popular among big tech companies. They have a pattern, but it's similar. So they send you like a coding test where you have like 3 questions, and you have to like answer it under like 45 minutes or so. So it's not monitored. They say it's not monitored, but I feel it's monitored. So you need to like code out the answer and send it back to them, and you just be waiting to know if you've been accepted.
For how long?
If you've been accepted, it won't take time. But if you've not been accepted, it might take like a week or 2. But under 3 days, you'll be able to get like a... So once you pass that stage, you get to do like a on-site. That's in quotes, because you're literally meant to travel out to that location. So let's say the company is in UK or Dublin, you're actually meant to go there to do the on-site. But COVID and everything went on virtually. So you do like an interview, you meet engineers at that company, you speak with them, they throw a question at you, you solve it, they want to check some certain skills that you have, collaboration, communication. Are you arguing with them? It's literally you solving a problem with a colleague. So they want to see your work culture. How do you go about solving a problem? Are you going to impose your solution on them, or are you going to listen to like how to improve your solution? So they're just checking a couple of all those things. Some companies don't really care about they do care, but you don't really care about if your solution will yield the correct result. They just want to see the kind of person you are work-wise.
What's the work process?
Well, yeah, what's your work process is? Are you quiet? Do you like to do things on your own without involving people? Do you like collecting feedback from people? So that's literally how the stuff goes. So if you pass that stage, they give you like 2 questions. If you pass that stage, you do like a system design where they tell you, say Facebook or Twitter, for instance, if you're to design an application like Twitter, how would you go about it? Okay. So you talk about things like database, scaling, how to scale a large user amount. They talk about catching, all those systems, load balancing and all that stuff. That's the end. So that's like the final round of interviews. In that final round, you also get to meet with the hiring manager and probably the manager. So they just assess your abilities. So that's like the last. So after then, you get to wait for some time. So like I said, if you wait for 2 days, and probably 3rd day, 4th day, you can get a good reply. But if you wait for a long time, I don't think you're getting the role. Okay. Yeah, so this was what we were preparing for at that point. Yeah. We knew these things, we knew how they worked. We asked a lot of questions. So me and my friends, we knew how these things worked. It's just how can we do it perfectly to get a job at one of these companies. Group, yeah? So no, I never met them.
Till now you have.
Okay, I have.
Okay.
Funny enough, they all got roles at Microsoft.
Interesting. So you're all colleagues now? No,
they got a Dublin. I think they are both in Dublin now, but I got Microsoft Lagos. Okay. Yeah, so that was my first time meeting any of them, and it was really good. So they were sending jobs. So the first job that I actually got within the whole application period was Bank of America. BOA.
Okay.
So my friend Olumide sent the link to the group. He was like, you guys should apply. So we all applied. We did the interviews. That was November, December, ending of the lockdown period. At that point, I was like, if I haven't gotten a job till now, what? I was already uninterested because I worked really hard and they were all sending me rejection mails. I was like, let me just rest. So that one came in, they were like, oh, hi Chisom, we saw your review, would like to invite you for an interview. I was like, okay. So I went back to them, they were like, they invited me for interviews too. And I was so happy because this is something that we've been working for a long time and everything was just starting to open up like in good light and everything. So we applied for BOA, we did interviews with them. January 1st, the offer letters came out. They were like, congratulations, you've gotten it. You're an intern at Bank of America. And it was so sorry. And I thought that was the end. I did my Microsoft interviews. I had applied to Microsoft since August, and I didn't hear any response from them. But I can remember vividly somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn in that same August that I applied, and she asked me, she sent me the same job I applied for. She's a Microsoft staff. She sent me the same job I applied for, and she was like, I've been seeing your progress on LinkedIn, how you got into tech, how you built your application. I even started writing articles at some point. So she was seeing all of that. And I was like, I thought nobody was seeing this. So she reached out to me. She was like, I would like to refer you. And the moment she referred me, Microsoft reached out to me the next day. I was like, we want to interview you. I was like, oh my God. I was so happy. I didn't even know if I was going to get the role, but getting like attention from these companies, it's something to be proud of. So I was so happy. I scheduled all my interviews with them. It was really spaced. They gave me a lot of time to prepare. So I told my friends they were happy for me as well. So I went to the interviews. I did interviews in December. I was killing it. Like, I've been doing interviews for a while. And I was like, so this is my time to shine. I was like, yeah. Even though they did not ask me, I still answered. I just wanted to, I was so happy with myself. Like, when I was answering those questions, I was like, my confidence was glowing. Like, I knew that I waited for this moment. I was just dishing things out. So all the interviewers were happy. Even my manager at this point, I interviewed with him. He was happy, commended and everything. So fingers crossed. I've already gotten Bank of America, but it's a bank and that's Microsoft. So my interest was just in Microsoft. I was like, anything that happens at this point, I'm good. I've come this far. So it means that the next time I apply, I would have like a good start. Yeah. So that was in January. I was getting ready to come back to school, getting ready to go back to school for final year. Yeah. And I was just packing. That was my last night in school, in the house. And I just said a prayer. I was like, God, I want to celebrate with my parents if I leave. And that was already the night before. That was on a Sunday. I was meant to go back to school on Monday. I was like, I want to celebrate with my parents if I leave. Can you please? I was praying, God, please do this. And not long after I said that prayer, I was eating and I just got like a mail on my phone. And I just saw your interview results are ready. I didn't even want to open it. And when I just opened it, I was like, next thing I saw was, congratulations, you've been approved, you're joining MS as a graduate. And I started tearing up. Like my hands were just shaky. I went to meet my mom. My mom was like, what is this? So I gave her the phone. She was like, no, it's up. My dad was like, I hope it's not this scam people. Because my dad literally did not believe that a Nigerian or Microsoft is far-fetched. Like when you say Microsoft, Facebook, you're thinking Silicon Valley. Yeah. He didn't believe that was possible. And so they were so happy for me. I went back to school with a different kind of vibe. Yeah. I knew that the only thing I had to do was just to do my projects and finish up and just leave. So that was the journey. Very tough, but it was worth it.
Okay. Most people who are in school, universities, polytechnics, tertiary institutions, they feel most of these things are very far-fetched.
True.
What simple steps can be taken? You talked about the
ambassador program.
The ambassador program. What else? Not internships now. Like, what kind of programs? What kind of initiatives can you get onto? What kind of volunteering should you be doing while you're in school? And how much of it should you actually do?
Okay, I think before we go into that, I will just say the first thing would be surrounding yourself with the right people. Okay. There are some people that you can say, hi, I want to work with Facebook when I'm done with school. I'll just be like, please, you're dreaming too big. And there's people that you meet and be like, I think I would like to do that too. So it's like law of attraction. Yeah. You guys would literally attract those opportunities to yourself. So he sees something, he sends it to you. You see something, you send it to him. You guys form like a bigger group. So first of all is arranging your circle and arranging your network on social media. Follow people that can add value. Follow people that don't follow people for following's sake. At that particular point in your life is really sensitive. So you need to be making very timely and discreet decisions.
Not just vibes and cruise.
Not just vibes and cruise. I mean, you know how you really want it. So secondly, I would say internships. These companies offer a lot of internships. I was always telling my friends that if we need this thing on time, there's nothing that would have stopped us from interning from our first year. We would have applied for these internships in our first year.
From the very big companies too,
Yeah, I know a lot of people that did. He did like an internship with Facebook in his second year. Wow. He did an internship with Google in his third year. And now his final year, I think he's at Microsoft. I'm not sure of the location. I think Microsoft Redmond. So he literally figured this thing out on time. So internships, you can get it. These big companies have capacity to train. It's not like small startups that are just looking for how to scale up faster. Yeah. So they have capacity to train. So applying to them on time would help. Volunteering experience as well would help. If you don't have work experience, volunteer for tech-related roles. There are lots now. There are campus ambassador programs. There's Ingressive. There is Code Africa. I'm talking about the ones that are based. There is GDG, Google Developers Group. You can be a GDG ambassador. So many things. So these things give you access to some key people in those companies, right? So everything is literally about networking. And again, being aware on the internet. being at alert for opportunities, joining groups, and just being intentional about all those things. So volunteering experience, fixing up your circle, applying for internships on time, and making the right networks, asking a lot of questions. So if you're a student, that's what you should invest in. As much as you're reading, that's good, but invest a lot of time in doing these things. No matter how small, they're definitely going to make some progress. We haven't really talked about the part where you have to actually do the tech stuff, like learn a tech programming skill, build projects. If you cannot build a project on your own, participate in group projects, hackathons. Students do a lot of hackathons. Students do a lot of coding challenges. So get involved in all those things. Look out for them.
Campus,
exactly.
The cities where you're in.
Don't shy away. Don't say it's for them. They're the ones that know how to code. Let them do it. You might not even come in as a developer. Just come in as something. So you can even come in as a PM. Nobody cares. But if you can put in your resume that you actually added value to this team, it's good. They see that, okay, you're a student, but you still made effort in your campus, and that's literally all that counts for your experience.
So if you shed more light on the roles that are not as celebrated as the ones we have and popular as the ones we have now, what roles would these be?
Popular roles would be, let me just start with popular roles. Should be front end, back end, mobile, Flutter, web, UI, UX, product design, PM. But the ones that most tech companies or big tech companies still, like I'll start with Google. Google has this role called Site Reliability Engineer, SRE. People don't really know about that role, but it's something you can delve into if you're like a DevOps person. That's like the title. So what they do, they just test software, debug, troubleshoot. Then there's also IT support. You can join a company as an IT support engineer. They're just checking out if your products are as responsive as they should be. And there's robotics. They're not so popular, but there's robotics as well. There's blockchain. People are building blockchain technologies now. Web3, you've heard of Web3, Web3 design, Web3 development on the web, Web3 development on your mobile phone. So many things. So they're not so popular, but they're also celebrated. Companies are actually recruiting for these roles. So you shouldn't, if you're following the trend and you're saying, this is what is in the trend, let me just shook my head somewhere. Just literally find out what you're passionate about and do like a wide research, ask a lot of questions.
So you had a lot of rejections.
A lot.
What lessons can you share from applying to and getting a job at Microsoft?
Resilience, knowing that how I relate, how I do my thing. If I see somebody that has done it before and that person doesn't have to end and that person grew up in the same condition as I am in, like imagine the people that went to University of Lagos, that's a Nigerian university, they did the same courses I did, they were in the same, so I'm like, if they can do it, it's accomplishable for me. Then being determined, rejections will come, like there are a lot of them. Companies can just reject you, but I also see it as a way God pushes you to a place that you're meant to be. So instead of you to see it as something that would discourage you, at least you tried your best. And I noticed that during my Microsoft interview, the experience I had interviewing all those companies that rejected me made me shine during my Microsoft interview. I knew the mistakes I made, I knew what I had to improve on, and I was like, okay, I cannot make those same mistakes again. So I was more than ready. I was literally fully baked to interview.
Okay, any extra tips and tricks to applying to a big tech company?
First of all, I would say have a good front on social media.
Okay.
Have a good, you might not necessarily build a brand for yourself, but let people know you, let people be familiar with you. It goes both ways. Either you do it that way, like I did, because I didn't have experience, or you do it with your skills, or you can even do both, right?
Okay.
So branding is there. Like I got my referral from LinkedIn. If I wasn't really active on LinkedIn, that would have happened. But if I had the right skills and I applied, I would have still gotten in one way or the other. So branding is there, knowing how to apply for jobs the right way.
Okay.
Don't apply for jobs that are away from your skill set because you want to get in. Maybe you're a front-end developer and you've seen that this company is looking for a back-end engineer. You're just applying for different roles that don't even align. You're just going to waste your time. Secondly is learning interviewing skills. Learn how to communicate. If you're an introvert or you're a shy person, you just need to come out of your shell a bit and be open. Yeah, learn how to communicate with your interviewer. Just learn how to be your best. These people are looking for rock stars. They don't want someone that's timid or someone that can speak up. Just be open, try to be your best self. Then the skill of handling rejection is there, because if you allow rejections to weigh you down, you might not really go far. So see rejections as a stepping stone. The more rejections you get, know that you're closer to getting to that point. So I think all these things I picked up was from the different chapters of my book. So the way I wrote the book is in a flow from the very beginning till when you get an offer. So I just picked the chapters up and everything. So yeah.
Now, there are some people who do not exactly have the opportunities that other people have.
True.
I know that the alumni of Unilag is doing a lot when it comes to connecting the students and the school,
the scholars,
undergraduates here to opportunities. But
True.
then there are a lot of schools, in Nigeria, public universities, private
That don't have any idea.
That do not have any idea.
What's
They
going
do
on.
not have a strong alumni community, and even the one or two persons are not exactly connecting back. How do you think we can go about this?
Bridging that gap.
Yes.
I would say the internet is accessible to, as much as those opportunities aren't accessible to them, internet is accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
So those people have WhatsApp on their phones, they have Twitter, they have a browser. So I would just move back to what I said earlier of surrounding yourself with friends. Don't make friends that you're used to. Go a step. It might be people that are higher than you. Ask a lot of questions. Know what's happening in their space. Look for peculiar people who are doing really those special things, and just ask questions. Go on the internet. If you see somebody working at a company you like, probably at Google. When I was applying, I made sure I connected with all of those people. Microsoft, Google, Facebook. I had them as my connections on LinkedIn so that I could ask questions when I like. So if your school or your environment is not working for you, then go online, check, just browse Google engineers or Google people, and you see them. And I relate to Nigerians more because, they grew up in the same space as I did, so they will have like a relatable story. Connect with them, ask questions, ask very distinct questions. Don't ask them saying, I want to apply to Google, teach me how to. Say, I've applied to Google, they got back to me, they rejected me, what can I do better? So those kind of questions. So I feel going around that circle, being very aware of what's happening on social media would help you a lot. Your network actually matters in this game. I call it a game, yeah.
So one of the articles I read about you.
Oh.
Yeah. That you're inspiring people by trying to create or help people access opportunities. What motivated you? Why are you doing this? And is there something you're going to gain out of it? What's the end goal?
Not really. When I was still applying for these jobs, people weren't really vocal about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you won't see someone that says, like me, I'm sitting, I'm like, oh, I work at Google and I just flew into the country to do this interview. Mm-hmm. You won't see anything like that. So I was like, if I'm able to get to this job or to this company, I would like to, there's this thing they say where you come through a door and leave it open for others. So that's literally what I was trying to do. So when I started posting, I do this thing on Twitter where I post job alerts every day, Monday to Friday. I look for jobs, not just regular jobs, big jobs, Amazon, Facebook. And when I'm posting it, people are like, this isn't for us. Like, people comment and they're like, is this for us? Like, is this for another? Is this for another region? When I just started, I was like, you can apply. They're like, can I apply? Like, I get questions like, can I apply for this role? I'm like, why not? And people see my bio and they're like, Bank of America. Are you in the country? You school in the country? They're like, this one, all this.
Yeah, all this evasion.
You probably schooled in MIT or something and everything. So I started posting these job alerts. People started applying for these roles. People reach out to me and they're like, Chisom, I got rejected. And I'm like, good. Then you can now know why you got rejected and still apply. So I'm like, let me make this thing open to people. Let me show people that this thing is possible. Then I do this thing with my friends. Most of the friends I've had now, most of the friends I've met, I even did it in my book where I got people working at all these companies and I made sure they were all Nigerians.
Okay.
Everybody that wrote something in my book are all Nigerians.
So it's very relatable.
So you see somebody with a Yoruba name, Igbo, they didn't school abroad. These people didn't school abroad. So you're seeing people from Twitter, someone that works at Twitter, someone that works at Netflix, someone that is a Nigerian. And so when you read about them, you're like, oh, so this is actually possible. So it's just demystifying that myth that if you're in Nigeria, you cannot access these roles. It's very, very accessible. And that's one of the things I'm trying to be more vocal about to people. Yeah.
They're talking about these things being very accessible to a lot of people. So before I lose my train of thoughts, there are a lot of trainings. There are a lot of, hey, come in, learn tech here, 3 months.
You're done.
Just you learn computer, learn how to type or something. It's like 3 months free course, 1 month, learn JavaScript in 24 hours and be a master, be a pro. What are your thoughts about these things? And how quickly will these initiatives help us, young Africans, young Nigerians, to get to that point where we're like a really, really tech generation?
I feel like tech is slow. If you can make it slow paced for yourself or fast paced. But one thing I would notice is people that took their time to learn the foundations are whiz. Like when you say someone is a whiz in this, that's what I noticed. So for people that were learning alongside with me, that spent time on the basics, they are big. Like they have a lot of accomplishments now. So I would say trainings like that might not really work, because tech is something that is here to stay. If you're learning a tech skill, you're not learning it to get paid for it and abandon it. It's something that's progressive. So it like when the Bible says, if you build a house on a shaky foundation, it's definitely going to crumble. So I feel people should stick to trainings that are more structured, trainings that start from like the very beginning till the end. There's no need rushing, actually. The sky is, like my dad always said, the sky is free for all birds to fly.
Yeah, so it feels like right now,
but
like there's like a window of tech.
No.
That window is closing very soon. So
everybody wants to
get in quick.
No, the more you rush it, you look back and you're like, I wish I spent time on this. Because there are some things you would see and you're like, you know the basics in your head, you know the basics are, you've not really gotten the basics, but you're just going with the flow, you're learning on the job. But what if you actually took your time to understand the logic? Tech is really logical. Even if you're doing product design, UI, UX, front end, everything is logical in tech. So the earlier you actually sit down to understand things the way they are. I have a friend that will always tell me, if he doesn't understand what is going on, he's not moving an inch from that spot.
Whoa.
He must actually stay on it till he gets it. So once you yourself will know when you've gotten the whole gist, you would know. And when you're confident that you know that, just move forward. But if you're just starting out and you're jumping, you know very well that you're jumping topics. You don't tell yourself the truth, but you would actually regret it in the long run. You make it to a really far point, but you will not compare yourself to someone that has a very solid foundation.
Aside this misconception that there is a very small window and everyone is in a hurry right now to ensure that the window doesn't close.
Yeah.
What other misconceptions are there about getting into tech, about, being in tech?
Misconceptions would be that you have to know how to code to be in tech.
A friend of mine wouldn't agree though, but yeah.
There are a lot of non-coding roles.
Okay.
Non-coding roles. If I decide to be a product manager now, I would not touch code. I'll just be looking at people coding. I have PMs as friends. They don't code. I have people that do. There are people that do UI UX. They don't code. People that do some certain kind of technical work as well. They have nothing to do with coding. So if coding is your fear, there are a lot of non-technical roles that you can go into. There's project management. I'm not saying they are easier. No, nobody said that. They're not easier. But if you're not a code program, if you're not someone that will look at this fan or this camera now and say, okay, I want to know what's going on inside, and you know coding is not for you, then try to explore non-coding roles and see if you relate to them better. So those are one of the myths. Another myth is when you enter tech, you start making millions.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's another myth. No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you will, but not immediately.
Okay, so it's like blood money, like magic money.
Yeah, you just enter, do 2 tutorials. Next day you're allowed to start.
Yeah, you're receiving money in dollars.
It's gonna
now.
take time.
Okay.
It's gonna take time. That's another myth. So, yeah, I think that's all.
Okay. Your book. Tell us about your book.
Okay.
I think you already spoke about what inspired
Yeah.
the book. Tell us about what we should expect and who you think should
Read the book.
Yes.
Okay, I think one of the things that inspired me was the questions I was getting when I got my role at Microsoft. People were like, how do I do this? You look like a superstar. Was it hard and all that? So I got a lot of questions. So I tried to come on speaking engagements like this, Twitter spaces, but it wasn't enough. People were still asking questions. I was like, okay, why can't I just write everything down in a book? So that when you just ask me like a question, you can get everything there. I usually tell people that if you want me to mentor you, just buy the book, because I didn't leave out anything. I literally poured out all I knew. The book is structured in such a way that it takes you from the very first point of aspiring to work for a company to getting an offer. I don't know if you're going to get the offer, depends on you, but it's definitely going to hold your hand till that point. So I shared personal stories inside the book at each point for the mistakes I made. I shared an interview preparation guide where you can follow through. It's a 6-month guide where if you want to start preparing for interviews under 6 months before you start applying. It's a guide I drafted out. I also interviewed engineers working at Google, Microsoft, Meta, Twitter, Amazon. I interviewed them inside the book. They shared their stories as well, their struggles, and so many other stuff. So the book is fully packed with a lot of value. If I had it, wouldn't be. I knew that I would have had a lot. I would have been at a lot of companies by this point. But I mean, this is just something to help people. So if it's just for someone that aspires to work for a very huge company, you don't know how to go about it. So that's literally what the book is about. My expectation from it is that people buy it and they start sending me success stories. That's just what I want to hear. I just want to go on my Twitter and see people snapping beside Google logos. I want to see people snapping beside Facebook logos, and they're like, I'm finally here and all that. So just that vibe.
Final words to especially the females.
Oh, okay.
Because while we were talking, right, we talked about a certain Twitter troll. That's underrated and undermined.
Women in tech.
Yes, women in tech. So there will be a lot of females who will be looking up, to you, right? Not just people generally in tech, but females. How would you want to address them, motivate them, inspire them?
I would say that there's definitely a spot for you. Definitely a spot. There's so many women organizations that are opening up, especially in Lagos. I attended a summit last Saturday, She Code Africa. I attended WeTech as well, Women in Tech. And so going into that room and seeing a lot of females moving with so much confidence and everything, and it shows to say that there's definitely progress in that space. So as a lady, you shouldn't even be discouraged with all those things set up. When you look at them, you shouldn't even be discouraged. Nobody should even hear you say, I don't think I have a spot in tech. Because there are people that have gone before you to make the path really clear for you. It's not like before. I don't think I'm the one person to say that I experienced something like that before, no. But people have done the work and they've cleared up everything for you. So you're only just to come and benefit from the work they've already done. So as a woman in tech, I won't say it's easy to it's just as easy or as hard as a guy that wants to get into tech. You should just see it that way. So there are various skills you can learn. There are women that are doing back-end engineering, serious work, people that are doing cloud engineering, people that are doing product design, people that are managing amazing products all over the world, MasterCard, Visa, they are doing amazingly well. So if you see those women at those key points in the world, you should just get inspired by them, and you're like, if a woman can be here, then I have nothing, absolutely nothing to complain or to worry about or to feel like doubtful about. So there's definitely a spot for you as a lady in tech. So it's not something we're still contemplating on.